Hi guys, and welcome back to the Strong by Choice podcast. In today's podcast, we're talking about setting boundaries between home and work life.
Welcome to the Strong by Choice podcast, where our purpose is to inspire women to be bold about their intentions and to take massive action working towards their goals in all areas of life.
Oh, I'm sore.
Strong by Choice, episode 19. Hey guys, today we're talking about, we already said that.
Yeah.
That's what you just said.
Yeah. Hey y'all, I feel like it's been a while since you've been in here. I hope everyone is doing well. It's been a journey.
Yes. Even though we're putting out episodes every week, we're ahead. But it's actually been a smooth 3 weeks since we recorded something. So I feel kind of rusty.
Yeah, I do. I don't feel like how I felt when we first started, but I definitely feel like I'm not in the groove of things.
We need a warm up.
Yeah, can we do a pre-show one before this? But we're here, and I know we're going to get back into it as we get into the discussion.
Yeah. You got any life updates, Desiree?
Life updates. Let's see. Oh, well, I finally got my business card, so that's really, really awesome. I've been putting it off for a while, as far as a lending ear goes, and I feel like I'm getting more and more comfortable with, I am more comfortable with, explaining more what a lending ear is. Your mission, vision, all that good stuff. My mission and vision and everything. Yeah, Susan actually recommended someone to me last weekend that I'm doing a phone call with him. So I'm even stepping out of my comfort zone and working with other people that was out of my quote unquote demographic, because I've always actually been interested in working with men, especially black men, because I want to really figure out why do you think the way that you think, why do you feel these ways? Why do you suppress your emotions? Because I'm not even going to say black men. I would say men in general, but really black men especially. Yeah. They don't have that platform where they can be vulnerable and talk about their emotions. And a lot of different retreats or any kind of healing type of things that you normally see in today is always centered around women. Yeah, it is. And so I don't know, do men like that? Do they like the camaraderie where we kind of y'all sit down and you cry? Do you cry? I'm really interested to peel back those layers, because I don't think men get that opportunity to peel that back. And then hopefully in understanding men more than hopefully for women, or at least for myself, it gives me a better understanding of them, especially my husband.
One good thing I have noticed is that a few of the women conferences that I've gone to, they actually have a men's panel. So nice. You were saying, you want to hear more about the men's perspective on it. So even, I think the Women's Business Symposium with Tawana Goldston, her husband, they own a business together, and they had a men's panel, and they talked about finances. So I do feel like there's been more conversations with men lately with the whole entrepreneurial movement. So that is one thing I do think is positive, but I don't think we do focus enough on men's mental health and development and letting them kind of express themselves.
Yeah.
So, and you have been saying for a while you wanted to work with men, so
yeah, because
I thought about you.
And the reason why I would say I want to work with men is because I'm very much grateful that women are seeking mental help. They're going to counseling, therapy sessions and everything, but to me it's very one-sided when it comes to the relationship dynamic. You can't have one person in it. It has to be both of you guys, because if
we talked about this earlier today. So this is funny that we got to this point, but we were talking about in a relationship, if one person's growing and working on an issue, holding the other person accountable, but not expecting the same growth or the same movement at the same time, kind of thing.
Yeah. So. And it's when after we had that conversation, I was thinking about something, and I thought about what someone had said, or I was listening to something, and to me, it's almost about challenging that other person. Yeah. It's I think as women, we're supposed to hold down the household, and I still think the man is the head of the household and everything, but I feel like we set that foundation of what that our home should be. The expectations for them. Right. And I think as women, I think as women start to, heal themselves and everything and understand themselves more, then they're able to have these different expectations. And I'm not saying that you have to be unreasonable, because sometimes as women we can have unreasonable expectations, especially if we're not working on those same areas in our own self.
Right.
But I think it's still good where, we are challenging our men to, like, look, you just can't come with no F stuff. Like, you have to be willing and able to, one, make certain changes in yourself and also make changes in our relationship so we can continue to grow. And anytime you start growing, it can be really uncomfortable. You're out of your comfort zone. You don't really know what you're doing. But I think I'm hoping that as men come into themselves more, when we're starting to create that environment that's in that space for them, that they're more open to getting out of the same routine.
Because the internal work.
Yeah, and doing the internal work. Because I think we had seen on Facebook before where it said, as we need, instead of disciplining our young boys, they need to have more mentorship so they can know how to express their emotions in a non-violent or angry temper or anything, or even feel safe enough to feel like they can say something, where there can be an active communication between them and their partner. Because if you don't have that communication, then it just starts to go down south.
Yeah, and I think expressing those expectations, it really helps with that communication. And I think that men also, like you said, they meet the standards that we set for them. So right now there's a lot of the whole independent woman kind of thing. And so instead of being like, well, let's communicate and work it out, it's, well, I can do it myself, I'm leaving you. But working through on that communication and setting those standards and allowing them to grow into that person instead of just being like, I'm out, would save a lot of relationships, a lot of heartache.
Yeah, that was a key thing, giving them that room to grow. I think as women, I feel like we're kind of going to a different part than what we originally said, but we're just going to stay in the flow right now. You made a good point when you said, like, we allowing them to grow. I think as women, once we meet our expectations, we expect men to just do it right then and there. But like for me, as a woman, if my husband did that, I'd be like, I'm trying. You gotta give me time. So it's even like for women, we also have to change in our own mind how we see men, because we have that form of how we think men should be based on like society and everything. We feel like as soon as they make a decision, it needs to come right then and there, and it's just not that.
Right. And then even not expecting us in them. So maybe we caught on to something, maybe we took the time to learn about it and learn what we need to work on, and we saw we were able to apply it quickly, and we expect them to just get it. It made common sense. I connected the dots for you, so you should see this and you should change too. But things don't always make sense to people the same way it makes sense to you.
And I'm learning that every single day.
Yeah. And I do think that has something to do with like the feminine and masculine energy and the way you communicate certain things and all of that as well. So it goes back to like that communication and setting the standards, but really working with them and understanding who they are, how they learn, and how they're able to change over time.
Because you got to think about it. When we think about how men are supposed to be viewed, like I was saying, of being the providers, being the ones who, like, they can't tap into their emotions too much. If they do tap into their emotions, they're too emotional. They're weak. They're none of this. And so when they come, and they even in relationships, they probably been taught, like, you got to be strong. You can't never show your vulnerability, even to the woman that you're with, because
which is so frustrating to that woman when you're trying to have a conversation and you want their opinion on something and you're trying to grow together,
right? Because
and they're just telling you whatever, it doesn't matter, I can handle anything, but you want to know how they really feel about it.
And I don't think they realize, I don't think men always realize, like, we do care about what you think and how you feel. Right. Now, sometimes men have probably got into a relationship with that type of women, or women who are kind of like, I don't really care what you say, like, it's all about me, independent, you're not with it, whatever, in their family and everything. So they don't feel like they have, me, I'm always about having that space where they feel safe enough, because men and women are pretty much the same. If from an early childhood you've never felt like you had that opportunity to express how you truly feel and not get criticized or put down about it, you carry that with you even into your adulthood. So if they're in a relationship with someone and they already been drilled, you can't show emotion, you can't cry, you can't talk about how you feel, you're weak, you're nothing, and all that stuff. Even if you have a woman in front of you saying, hey, tell me how you feel. How was your day? Well, what do you really think about this? They're kind of, it's an automatic, it's ingrained in them. So like you said, being able to give them that time and that space and also help show them how, like, you can have this outlet. And sometimes even for us, we've had the same thing too. We got to be the strong, independent woman. Like stuff happened to us. No, let it roll off your back. It's nothing. Keep on going. You got this. You got this. You got this. So even sometimes for us, maybe even when we feel like we might be vulnerable with our men, but energetically they can still pick up on our defenses. So they may not, the wall is still up.
You're giving more, but you're not giving everything,
right? And so being able to, I always go back into, like, that's when I started having like a little bit of issues with my husband. I really had to just go within myself. And I hate to always say that to women, because I think a lot of times women feel like, it's always me. I always have to do this. I always have to do that. And it can be really, really frustrating. But I had to get a point where it wasn't even about him. It was really about myself. Like, okay, well, why do I feel this way? And once I started asking myself those questions, okay, why do I feel this way? Why do I react this way? Then it just started to become more about me and really start to unfold those layers. And as I started to unfold my own layers of how I operated, why I felt the way I felt, when I would interact with my husband, I didn't have that same kind of frustration with it, because I've already worked through something in myself. And then I started to notice, once I started to ease up, and I'm always about energy. Once I started to ease up, I started to see how he started shifting as well. Because like I said earlier, as women, we're like that foundation when it comes to our family and how our family dynamic runs to a certain extent. We know that backbone in a way. Once you start to shift and change, everything else changes. Because I remember growing up, like if my dad came home and had a bad day, it's like, oh, Dad had a bad day, but it wasn't that big of a deal. But my mom came home and had a bad day, even if she wasn't talking, you could feel it.
Right.
And it's the same way when I come home. When I come home, if I come home and I'm feeling good, Josh is good, Brielle's good, but if I come home and I'm having a bad day, I can tell the whole mood of the household is different. So then, regardless of the fact, I'm like, all right, if I know I have that, for me, it's not even like, oh my God, this is my burden that I have to bear. I have to be like this person, because regardless of the fact, if I'm having a bad day, I'm just having a bad day. I tell Josh, like, look, I'm having a bad day. Can you put Brielle to bed? Can you do this for me? You can do that for me. And he I would say 90% of the time he does it. I don't have, like, if I tell him like this is how I'm feeling, he does it. And I'm very grateful for that. But instead of thinking like, oh, this is the burden I bear, it's like, this is the power I possess. So how can I tap in with myself to be able to make sure, one, I'm taking care of myself mentally and emotionally, where I'm not affecting other people, and then two, how can I start to release these I would say like past hurts or different mental blockages and stuff, where I can start to open myself up. I can change the frequency and the vibration of myself, where it then can help affect my husband and my child. And once I got into that, then things started to shift. And that was just for me. Some people, like I said, I'm into meditation and crystals and stuff like that. Some people get into the Bible. There's a whole bunch of different Bible verses you can go into that really helps with that. There's different mindset coachings that you can do. But for me, that's when I started to feel like, okay, I can see how I am really a creator of my reality, and how like I have to start changing things up, because otherwise me and Josh be fighting every day.
So with all that being said, I think this kind of segues us into our actual topic of the day, which is setting boundaries between home and work life. So kind of going back to it, we as entrepreneurs, as women, and we do a lot of self-assessment and kind of self-discovery. And as we go to like different levels, we expect different things in our businesses. And then we go back home and we expect the same changes out of our spouses, out of our friends. We see the benefits of the work that we've done internally and with our habits and things like that, and we kind of start to try to impose them on other people. And I think that's kind of where I want to start. Is I know I had to check myself. Because when I first started, I just learning different topics, learning about like the law of attraction and stuff like that. And I would be so excited, like learn a new topic. And I have to realize, like, one, not everybody cares.
No, that's so true.
And you cannot impose your passions on other people. So, and that's why I always say it's important to have a group of people with similar goals who you can like talk to. But not trying to impose like the things that you're doing and the internal work you're doing on the people around you is really important. Desiree, I feel like you called me out on this a lot, but like letting people change at their own pace.
Yeah.
I'm very much a person, when I figure stuff out, I'm like, you should do it too. You should try this.
Literally. Just like that. Just like that. I'd be like,
Desiree, I did this today. You do it too. Sign up with me.
I'm like, okay.
But I just want everyone to be successful.
Yeah. I know you're coming from a good place. Yeah.
Yeah, and if I can do it, I really feel like if I can do something, anyone can do it. Because I just feel like I'm regular, schmegular, and like.
And I think there's nothing wrong with that, but I think there's a difference in doing something and then doing something that you're actually interested in.
Yeah.
Even if it's like something important, like okay, something dealing with your finances or dealing with your business or something with your health. But there's so many different avenues and different ways to get to improve those different areas in your life that is not just this one way. So I think it's good, like especially when we start making these different discoveries about ourselves or anything dealing with business in life, it's good to like tell people about what you've learned, but not actually be like, you need to do this, you do that, because depending on who you're talking to,
but it changed my life,
right? Because like even like for me, like I'm I would say I'm super into meditation, but some people be like, I'm not about to do that.
Boy, I want to meditate so bad. And the way my mind is set up, I'm not quite there yet. I'm not gonna say that I can't do it. My attention span is probably the same as my 3-year-old's.
Yeah,
but one day I'm going to get there. There's a lot of benefits to meditation. I really do want to get there.
I'm just trying to get you I think your first step. Remember I telling you, like, I know you have trouble sleeping sometimes. I really want you to, like, have that soothing music so you can make that time to actually relax. Let's start there, and then we can get into meditation. But anyway, so yeah, when you have that going on, when you have these different things you're learning and you're growing, you really start to push that on other people. And then if you're bringing that home and like you say you're exploring these different avenues about yourself and about the world, and then the people that you care about, especially in your family, aren't vibing with it, then you feel like then all of a sudden you attach that to yourself.
Yeah.
And then that brings you down. And so then sometimes what happens, we'll take our stuff that we're dealing with at home and we bring it to work. And when we bring it to work, then your productivity is down. You're not as focused.
The real issue is that your feelings about the two things end up blending.
Yes.
So then, if you're being criticized about business, then it feels personal. And if you're trying to talk to someone about personal matters and they don't understand it, it becomes really complicated. So it's really important to set clear boundaries.
Yeah.
And that's not to say like you can't come home and talk to your spouse or your friends about work, but especially when it's like the stressful things, the things that have frustrated you for the you really need to leave those at work.
And I think also it's about setting it's like a certain mood that you have to set, because I know sometimes I would take things more personal when it's just strictly business, but I don't think I never allow myself to like make sure I make that switch in my mind first. Because if I don't make that switch, like, okay, look, we're here now it's all about business, turn that on, so everything that's said and done, it has nothing to do with you, it's just a critique or whatever, then it's fine. But if I keep on that emotional part and then we start talking about business and it is just a critique, then I think it's like a personal attack against me. And it has nothing to do with that, because we're all trying to be productive. We're all trying to make sure that we scale and we grow as a business and as ourselves. So you have to be able to make sure, like, whatever setting you go in, you set the mood for yourself. Like, you know exactly what you're going into. So then that way like, all right, we're cutting this off and we're turning this on. And then when you're done with that, when you leave that space, then you can go back into whatever mindset you need to be in. So this really came up a lot to me, because I noticed, like, for me, when I would go home, especially when things weren't going as right as I wanted to do with the business side of my life, and I would go home and then I'll get like super frustrated if Braille didn't have her pajamas on right at that moment, or there's like dishes in the sink and everything, and I wasn't even if Brielle wasn't all the way together with the dishes in the sink, it wasn't particularly that. It was just the fact that I wanted to come home and have like a restful situation. Yeah. And if I didn't immediately see it, then I'm like, oh my God, I'm so mad right now. What's going on?
Checking things off. This happened. This made me mad. This person didn't show up. That went wrong. And now I get home and my husband's sitting on the couch or whatever the case may be. I'm not calling nobody out. But whatever situation makes you angry and it's like it's happening again. I done told him already. And my kid eating sugar while her teeth ain't brushed. And it just go down.
And it goes down from somebody. That. And really when...
Y'all wouldn't like me then.
Huh?
So y'all feel like me then.
Yes, Solomon. You got look. Do right by your wife, okay? And so, and then especially, you know, we're living in a different age. Like, you know, women have been in the workforce now for a few decades now, I guess you could say, at this point. But now it's even more popular and more pushed that, you know, women are more into their careers, they're more into their jobs and everything. So we've entered
in our business owners.
We're
too. Moving out of a place where we were secretaries and like help assisting a man and taking on more of that
leadership, right? And CEO, all that.
And we're kind of having to understand how to hone like our feminine and masculine energy and make sure that we're not bringing the masculine stuff that we do at work and trying to blend it with our family at home and trying to, you know, and then talk to people a certain way.
And then even outside of like the emotional part of it, like coming home and like being all fired up or frustrated that things weren't done, especially if your significant other or whatever was there and they haven't done anything. But it also put like a mirror, like put up for me, like regardless of the fact if you had a bad day or a good day, things at home still need to get done. The dishes still need to be washed. The clothes still need to be dried and put away. So once I took that frustrating part out of it, like, oh, I'm so mad, I'm tired, I don't want to do nothing, I'm like, okay, but they still need to get done. And I always tell myself, so when you wake up in the morning, you still see the dishes in the sink. How are you going to feel? Are you going to feel less frustrated or more frustrated in the morning about it? And I'm like, I'm going to feel more frustrated. And I'm like, well, you better muster up that energy because you have it. And put it away. That same, in my mind, I think that same kind of like go get and work ethic that I have or try to have at work, I make sure that I put that same energy in my home. Because you have to have, when you're going home and you don't have like that space where you can actually relax and unwind in that safe zone, you're constantly always going to be tensed up. Right. And eventually you're going to have a form of burnout. As we always mention, I think I even read now, like burnout is like a real deal thing now.
It's been real.
Yeah.
It has been real.
I think they make it more public, I guess, or more out there. And
I think it's more so like classified as like an actual psychological event now and not just like a term people throw around, especially with like the longer hours people are working and stuff like that. We talked about it a lot like in undergrad as an athletic training student. I think that was the topic we talked about the most, like work-life balance and being an athletic trainer, having to be there all day for your team and stuff like that. So I was very aware of it because of that setting. But I think it's more popular now with the big entrepreneurial push. Yes. But I think this kind of goes back to like self-care too, and what we talked about before. It's not just about getting your nails and getting massages, things like that, but being able to separate work and life and having safe spaces and places where you can actually shut down and turn off for the day.
And if you, like I said, if you never had that space or that zone where you can turn off, you're constantly on, and that can cause like your thoughts continuously running. Because if you're at work, and not even if you have your own business, but if you're at work and your boss is honing you got all these different projects you got to do, you have all these different deadlines, and then you come home and then you see everything, you're like, oh my gosh, now I gotta do this, and I gotta do that. And if you don't do any of those things, now you're laying in the bed like, right. And your mind keeps going on all this whole list that you have to do. So
and that's how we have panic attacks.
Yes. So one thing I like to do when I even when I leave work, what I do, I'll sit in my car for a little bit. I might do some mindless social media stuff, or I'll find some music that I really, really like. And as I'm listening to the music and I'm driving home, I'm just like, all right, I'm letting this stuff go. Even before I walk into the house, I'll sit in the car for a little bit. Like, you know what? I need some Musa time. Like, Brielle might still be up. And, you know, It doesn't matter. Your kids do not care if you're tired. When you walk in that door, it's like, Mommy or Daddy, I'm right here. So,
or whatever animal they want you to be.
Yeah.
The shark is here. Mommy, get in the water. You're the shark. Mom, chase me. Pick me up. Throw me.
All that. You want to go in the pool? Whatever it may be.
And it don't matter if they right there with Daddy. When Mommy walks in, Mama, Mom, Mommy, Mom.
Oh gosh, she know that life for real. So
my child's actually sitting under the table between my feet right now.
Oh yeah.
I'm surprised she's being this quiet, but shout out to me.
Yeah, there you go. We did something today. So I personally, I had to sit in the car for a second and just kind of let myself relax and cool down. I'll take some deep breaths. Even when I'm telling you, Susan, even when I'm putting the key in the door, like when I leave in the morning, I already know like the different things I might have left undone. So I'll make sure like I'll think like maybe Josh didn't even do it, and I'll be okay with it just so I won't lose my shit. So even when I'm putting the key in the door, I be like, I take a deep breath. And I'm like, all right, it's not like this is not something I haven't already done before. I haven't already ran into. It's like, so.
It sounds like you going through it.
I mean, look, I've been more charged up. I think it's also part of my grief process. I feel like I'm in the anger stage. So I need like that. Even like now, I can feel myself being like more hyped up and more energetic. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, I have to deal with that. So I'm like, if I know this and I'm aware of it, then that means I have the choice and the power to control it and be able to know like how to maneuver through things. So now like I had this revelation when I was washing the dishes. I was like, no matter what, it has to be done. And when I'm tired and I won't do it. But when I know, if I know the difference now of me just being really tired and done and me just being lazy. So when I know like, all right, today I'm just being lazy, get your butt up and go fold the clothes up or go wash the dishes. Or I felt so proud when I like cooked 2 days in a row. I was like, yes, girl, yes, you doing it. Like whenever, and that's another thing I do, whenever I do something at home or at work, I celebrate it. I'm like, yes, you did that.
I gave her a compliment yesterday that I think she does a really good job of celebrating those small things. And I don't know if we've talked about this before, but no, we did. The one where I talked about chasing success. And it's like every time I accomplish a goal, I'm on to the next one, on to the next one, on to the next one. I did that. Now what? I never take the time to be like, oh, I really did that. Like, oh, I own a gym. I never just sit there and be like, go me. Desiree will sit there and dance and all of that.
I'm like, and I guess for me, for such a long time, I doubted myself. I downplayed myself. I never thought I was capable of doing anything. I felt like I was always going to stay stagnant. And I remember I told Susan this yesterday. It was after I was working out, and I was looking in the mirror, and I'm like, the woman I am now is the woman I was hoping to be 3 or 4 years ago. And I was like, I've done that. And I'm like, Desiree, you've done that. Like, look at where I may not be exactly where I feel like I need to be or should be, but looking at all the things I've done, it's like I need to sit. And I'm okay with sitting and reveling in that, not staying there for too long. But I know I need that in order to help get me to the next place. Otherwise, I'm going to get burnt out. So when I do stuff like when I made sure I wash the dishes in the morning or wash the dishes at night, and I fold up the clothes, and I wake up in the morning and I automatically think like, oh, I need to go wash the dishes or fold up the clothes, and I look in there and they're gone. I'm like, girl, you remembered to do it. Yes, we went and it helps me.
I don't ever feel like that, but I'm glad you do.
It does, and it helps me. It helps set the tone for the day. Like, all right, even if things don't go right, I set a certain tone that I want to meet throughout the day. If things go wrong, sometimes it happens, but at least I feel like I've accomplished something. It makes me feel good. I gave myself a pat on the back, because sometimes, especially if you don't feel like you have anyone else there cheering you on, sometimes you gotta cheer yourself on, even in those little things, because the little things really do matter. And once I'm like, all right, I'm able to do that, then it helps reflect something I do at work. So since I've been doing more at home, making sure, because home is my foundation, you know how I always say, like, I function best when I feel like the relationships with the people I have closest with me are well. When I have that set, then I feel like I'm able to do more at work. So even like the other day, I was like, I've been on it. Like when I updated our cancellation policy, and I was just staring at it, I'm like, yo, I just love how this looks. It looks so beautiful to me. And it's just a cancellation policy, but it's something I've been saying I was going to do. I kept not doing it, and then I finally did it, and I made sure, like, it was, like, more sound. So I'm like, yo, girl, you is doing that. I'm like, yes, girl, I know. What we about to do next? I don't know, but let's do this. That's just for me. And this is
I'm just happy I got my kid in the preschool before the
deadline.
Man,
yes, okay. Dang it. You got to celebrate that stuff.
Man, yo, being a first-time mom is interesting. Do you know there's, like, deadlines for everything? And most other parents are on top of it. So you go to, like, enroll your kid in school, and every place is already filled up. Or, like, summer, like, soccer leagues, those fill up.
I didn't even get the season passes to Busch Gardens. Why didn't I get the season pass?
Look, I'm just going to revel in the fact that my kid's going to preschool and she got into a good school. I'm done for the year.
And you honestly, like, you gotta do that, because if you don't, and see how, and then if you, now that you've done that, you feel like you accomplished something. So then when you come into work, like, it's like, all right, let's tackle on this new task. And, you know, it doesn't feel as heavy. So you want to make sure that you're able to separate those two. You never want to bring home to work, because your productivity at work is going to go down. Your boss is looking at you like, what the heck? Or if you're your own entrepreneur or businesswoman, you don't feel like your business is actually moving, then now we'll start to look at your home life. And then,
or if you're the leader and you come into a space and you feel crappy, it kind of just makes everyone else feel crappy. I had to tell Desiree this morning to put on your emotion blockers.
She did, and we're starting to learn each other more. I feel like we finally got in the flow. Like, I know Susan know me. So she messaged me saying, put on your emotional blockers. So I sent her a whole bunch of emojis. I was like, I'm set. And that literally was
extra. The only thing they can see that over the laptop, but it's extra.
I'm extra. Extra. Read all about it, okay? Subscribe.
Here we go. Bring it back.
But no, it's true. Like, you have to know when to cut it off and when to turn it back on, and that's like the biggest thing. So
and we should probably talk about some of those tips.
So go ahead, you talk about the tips.
So some things you can do to actually separate home and work life. One, once you're, like, done for the day, then be done for the day. Don't answer emails. Don't answer texts. One thing that Desiree did, she actually made it so that my phone couldn't ring. The business line couldn't reach my phone once I left here. And at first, it made me real anxious. Then I was like, I don't answer the phone anyways. So it's more so just me, like, checking up on people, like, the messages and stuff. But that's a great thing to do, you know.
Oh, yeah, because she's going on vacation next week. And so she can be gone. And I remember last year when she went on the same vacation, she said that she was really anxious the whole time.
The first half of it, I think I was still in, like, work mode.
Yeah. And so when I was in the settings, and I was like, oh, what's this? And I was like, oh, I think you can turn it off. And I'm like, I'm gonna do this. I wasn't gonna tell her, but I was like, let me do this for Susan so she can, like, not be bothered, because I hate seeing the phone line ring. I'm like, what the hell? Who is this? And it causes some kind of anxiety sometimes too.
The business line rings all day. Sometimes it's clients. Sometimes it's people calling in to ask questions.
That's damn
sometimes Yelp. Y'all gonna stop calling me.
Stop. Zoom in on me. Don't zoom in too close. Yelp. We don't want you. Okay? We said no. Stop calling us. Thank you.
Google calling y'all?
I think
Google called. They called in the beginning, and then I think once we didn't return calls, probably like 5 or 6 times, they're like, but they still send me mail, but it's cool because it's always like coupons for Google ads.
Hey, cool.
So whatever. But yeah, so setting like that time frame, when you say you're done at 3:00, just because you haven't finished your work for the day, you still need to shut down at 3:00. And that's one new thing that I'm doing, is actually setting, like, if I've worked 8 hours for the day, then just stop. Because at a certain point, you're not productive anymore anyways, and you're just stressing out, and whatever work you do produce is not going to be good work regardless. So there's no point in trying to drag your day on for 10 and 12 hours.
Yeah.
If it's like manual work, okay, you can paint, whatever. You can force that, but trying to make good decisions, you can only make so many good decisions in a day. So at the point where you're already burnt out, there's no point in trying to push it and say, well, I want to get through this. I want to do this. I want to write this contract. Don't do it.
Yeah.
There's going to be mistakes in it. You can be frustrated. and then you're gonna get mad because you try to finish it and it wasn't good, and you wake up in the morning, you have to redo it anyways.
Right, and that's what I do too. Like, I don't function well early in the morning. Well, my daughter, she goes to preschool, so I don't really see her throughout the day, and I've been like missing her more. And like when I first put her in preschool, I was like, oh, I'm so happy or whatever. But now I really be missing her. So like in the mornings, especially, I can even put it on my schedule too. Like from like I take her to school between like 7:30 or 8:30, sometimes 9. But in the mornings, that's like my time with her. Like we're playing, I'm making her breakfast, we're brushing our teeth or something like that. Then so if I'm messaging about the business or something, I'll respond here and there. But at a certain point, I'm like, Desiree, stop. Like you said that this is your time for her, and then I'll stop. So having those knowing those boundaries between work and home is really important, like Susan's saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would also suggest not checking social media when you're at home, because even if it's not related to work, you can see somebody else who's an entrepreneur, and then you start getting to, oh my God, they're still working, they're meeting with the client, and I'm sitting at home, I'm not doing enough. And so even though you're not supposed to be working, you start getting into that anxiety, and it just goes downhill from there. And then again, you're not able to focus on your family and actually living in the moment.
Yeah, or even like I say, even if you don't have a business, but you're seeing everyone, I think this has been coming up
going
a lot.
On vacation.
I'm like, what am I doing wrong in my life? Like, what's going on? Like, I want
people who I feel like ain't got nothing, no business, going on vacation like every month, taking a week off. And I'm like, what credit card you got? Like, but whatever. Yeah, it's cool.
And I like what you said too. Like, and I think that was my biggest thing, because I know Brielle will be 5 in July, and I'm looking at her. Well, in July.
It is July.
Yeah. Brielle will be 5 in 18 days.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at her and I'm like, God, you have grown up so much. And
she's huge.
So now
she's a monster.
And I think that's part of what started everything. When I realized, like, oh my gosh, like, where did this time go? And that's when I started setting those boundaries between work and home. Because like you say, when you go home, you want to be present. That's the place that you relax. That was the place that you should be having some kind of fun. That's when
making
you're
connections, building memories,
and communicating and everything. So when I started seeing that, I'm like, all right, I have to stop. I want to be present in the moment when I'm with my daughter, or in the moment when I'm with my husband, because at the end of the day, that's what, at the core of everything, that's what's important to me.
Right.
Everything else is great and it's grand, and it can, make our life quote unquote better. But if we're not solid as a unit, then I'm not solid as a person.
Right.
Ooh. Ooh.
She went there.
I went there.
And sometimes it's easier said than done. So even if you turn off your messages and stuff like that, you can still have that anxiety about things you didn't finish for the day. So one thing I've been working on are grounding exercises. Shout out to my therapist.
Hey.
But in the moment where like my mind starts racing, I'm like, did I do this? I have to do that. So I actually just like do something physical to bring me back to the moment. So one thing I'll do is like dig my heels into the ground. And I didn't think it was gonna work, but it does, because I focused on the sensation of it, and then like I start like moving my toes. I'm like, all right, I'm here now in this moment. What am I gonna do? So it takes me away from the craziness and brings me back to my actual physical self.
Yeah, and I told one of my clients for a lending ear, I told her that same thing, because she does that a lot too, where she feels like, okay, I gotta do this, gotta do that. And I said, whenever you feel like your mind will start racing, like, notice that at that moment. And I said, what I normally do is like, okay, I don't dig my feet to the ground or anything, but that's a good idea for like physical sensation. But I'll stop and I'll look around. I'll be like, look around where you at, and I'll look around, like, so where I'll assess where I'm at. Where am I? Am I at work? Where am I at home? And then what thoughts am I having at that moment? Are they related to the environment that I'm in at that moment? If I'm at home and I'm thinking about nothing but work, then I'm like, all right. So then I'll look for Brielle, or I'll look for something like, there's a TV, there's a couch. Like, oh yeah, I am at home. Let me go out. Then I will get up. I'll get up and do something. Maybe I'll go grab me something to eat, wash my face or whatever. But then also if I'm at work, I'll look around like, okay, what are my settings? Are my thoughts aligning with where I am right at that moment? No. All right. So what was I doing again? Oh yeah, let me send out this email real quick. And then when you're able to do that, it helps also take that stress away as well, because like, no matter what, this is where I am. So I have to make sure I'm doing the stuff that is aligned with the environment that I'm in. Yeah. And if sometimes, you might talk about stuff at work related to your home life, or you're at a home related to your work life, but if it starts causing any kind of stress or anxiety, you need to stop it right then and there, because it does not serve you any kind of good if you continue to go on with those thoughts and those emotions. So being able to assess where you're at is
a lot of times the thoughts with anxiety are not even set in reality.
Not at all.
So when you actually take a step back and you're like trying to figure out what you're even like stressing about and the stuff, like, it doesn't have to be done today.
No.
It would make no difference if I finish this today or tomorrow. It's going to be a holiday weekend. They're not going to read this until Tuesday. So a lot of times the things that like you're causing stress on yourself about, they don't even make sense.
Don't even make sense.
So don't do it to yourself.
No, man, don't do it.
So yeah, in conclusion, don't bring that crap home.
And don't bring that crap to work.
Yeah, because you could literally die any day.
Literally.
There's been a lot of deaths lately, not like in my immediate circle, but people I know, well, even like from high school, like a lot of like friends or people I've known like have cancer, or like someone I know who was in my grade, he had cystic fibrosis and he just died.
Oh,
he got married in January and he just died.
Oh no.
Yeah, and I'm not even 30, so
cystic fibrosis, Brielle carries that. Cystic fibrosis. And I remember when the doctor told us that we have to be, when she gets older, she has to be careful to make sure whoever that she ends up being with, or whoever she has a child with, they
doesn't
need to be
have
screened to have it. And I thought, and I was like, Josh must have been carrying that gene.
It won't me.
It won't me. But I never got tested for it. I think I might actually get tested to see like which one of us actually carried it. So that's sad.
Yeah, but you can literally die at any moment, any day, and that's not to like be dismal, but you should really enjoy the moments that you have and try to make the most of every single moment.
You need to have fun, man.
Yeah.
Whether it's in business, work, life, like I've got to a point, and we're gonna wrap this up, but I got to a point where I felt like every day was this. You
get caught up in the hustle and the grind.
Yeah. And I used to be like real spontaneous, kind of flowy, and then I'm like,
I just had this conversation. I used to be a person like I will get up and do whatever I want at any given moment.
Yeah.
I mean, some of it's mom life.
Yeah.
But I'll stay up all night.
Mm-hmm.
Desiree, you boring though. Desiree's only pulled one all nighter, and it was when I was baking a cake for my mom on her birthday. Do you remember that night?
Yeah.
Yeah, Desiree's boring. She thinks she's spontaneous, but she ain't really lived life yet.
Now that I'm older and I got more into this routine, like I really want to do that girl trip because I'm to go all the way in.
She thinks she don't know.
Probably. I don't know. I want to go.
Now the old Susan,
I don't think I want to hang out with Susan.
You gonna hang out with me? You not gonna make it.
No. I'm
about to get everybody in trouble. Stop playing. We'll record some clips from that weekend when we go.
That would be fun.
We'll talk about it.
Like, y'all remember that night? Not at all.
But yeah, we living in the moment and we're not comparing to other people. Yeah. Make sure you separate stuff and don't hold on to things that don't matter.
Yeah, man. So I really do hope that this podcast, like, you're able to relate to it. And if you guys are doing any of that where you're bringing work to home or home to work, again, make sure you're able to separate that. So be sure to comment down below if you're going through any kind of situation, if you have any questions for us. And as always, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And we will see you next podcast. Bye. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, like, and share on Facebook at Strong by Choice, and also on Instagram at Strong_by Choice.